Hello students, my name is Lisa Acuna and I am the virtual librarian with Behavior and Law. And today we are going to be looking at some subscription databases that are available to students and faculty through LIRN, and that stands for Library and Information Resources Network. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is have you navigate in your search bar to proxy, proxy.lirn.net/behavior law. And once you've done that, your page should look like mine. And I am going to scroll down the page. And for the username information, you want to type in 02544. And for password, you want to type in goldox68. And so I'm going to go ahead and sign in. And you can see here, you can look at it, the databases by subject or alphabetically. So what we're going to do during this session is we're going to look at criminology databases, which can be found under the psychology group. So if you can see here, I have my hand pointed to psychology. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And there are other databases that you can use, for example, under general and interdisciplinary studies. If you had another class outside of psychology or criminology, or some other topic like that, you could certainly go to those databases as well. For our purposes today, we're going to be looking specifically at the criminal justice database, which is available through ProQuest. So if you hover your mouse over the database, it will give you a description. And ProQuest Criminal Justice is a comprehensive database supporting research on crime, its causes and impacts, legal and social implications, as well as litigation and crime trends. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here's the database. It looks like much like Google or another search engine would look like, with a search bar. What I am going to suggest the students do is click on Advanced Search. And I just wanted to mention that please don't share the login and the password information through for LIRN with anyone outside of Behavior and Law. It's only for students and faculty of Behavior and Law. So I appreciate that. Okay, so for an advanced search, what we can do is something called a Boolean search. And Boolean is spelled Boolean. And basically, a Boolean search combines search terms. So for example, if I wanted to search on lie detection, and I wanted to combine that search with the word crime, this allows me to do that. So the search will be on lie detection and crime. One of the other things you can do is limit to full text articles, which I do recommend. You can limit to peer-reviewed articles, which are articles that have been published and reviewed by the author's peers in the field. So you can also select that, especially if you're looking for scholarly resources. I'm going to select that. And the publication date, typically we would want to do like within the last 3 years. You can also create a custom date, but for our purposes, I'm going to search the last 3 years, and our search is lie detection and crime. As other options, you could search lie detection or crime, or lie detection but not crime. So those are some other options for you. You can also add a row here. That's another option. And for our purposes, we're going to search anywhere. So we're going to search lie detection and crime anywhere. And one of the other things I wanted to mention was if you are looking to do more involved searching where you limit by like the number of words that appear in proximity to, like, for example, crime. So if you wanted to limit the number of words between crime and behavior, you could limit by behavior being within 2 words of the word crime. And in order to do that, you would click on search tips. And there's a table of contents here. And here are the basics. It goes through how ProQuest interprets your search, different types of operators and special characters, such as and, or not, the different search fields, wildcards and truncation, and as well as doing subject searching. The one thing I did want to touch on briefly is wildcards and truncation. And a wildcard character is a question mark that is used to replace any single character, either inside the word or at the end of the word. So for example, this one for nurse is nurse and question mark, and it will find articles on nurse, nurses, and nursed. And there are some other examples there as well. Truncation retrieves variations of the search term. So for this example with farm, asterisk, it also finds articles on farm, farms, farmer, and farming. And another option you can do when searching is putting a search term in quotation marks. And what that will do is that will search that search term exactly. So if I was looking for lie detection and I only wanted to search on lie detection, I can put these search terms in quotation marks, and it will search specifically lie detection by itself along with the word crime. So let's go ahead, and for our purposes, we are going to search anywhere. We're not going to select subject search yet. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down the page. As you can see, our search is limited to full text only, peer-reviewed articles published within the last 3 years. You can also select type of articles here. You could select scholarly journals, for example. You can select document type. So for example, if you were looking for a commentary or a conference paper, an essay or an editorial, you could select all of that there. For our purposes, I'm just going to leave those blank. And then for the language, you can also select Spanish. What I recommend doing is something that I'm going to show you once I complete my search that has been effective for me. I'm going to go ahead and click on search. And I am coming up with 15 results. And the reason I'm coming up with only 15 results is lie detection was specifically searched on, as well as crime. So if I were to take the quotation marks away, it should change the number of results that I have. Okay, so what that does is it changes it to 218 results. So therefore, lie detection may not necessarily be searched as a phrase, and crime will be searched just by itself. If I wanted to search on crime or crimes, I can put an asterisk there and hit the magnifying glass again. And this search gives me 220 results. It searches the term lie detection and crime or crimes it will search. And take a look over here on the left-hand side of the screen. Articles are selected and sorted by relevance, meaning that the most relevant articles are going to show up at the very top. You can also sort these by the oldest articles first or most recent first. Most likely you will want to look at these either by relevance or most recent first. If I change it to most recent search, first rather, then the most recently published article will be coming up. And as you can see, this is from December 2021. But let's go ahead and switch it back to relevance. The algorithm that the search engine has put together has decided that this article number 1 is the most relevant article. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And this looks like a promising article. It looks like it's actually, let's see, I'm going to go back to results for a minute. Okay, this is from the European Journal of Psychology. And it looks like it's, well, the article itself is in Spanish. So I'm going to translate it from Spanish back into English. And again, we're going to have a description here of on-the-fly machine translation. Is not a perfect result. It would probably be somewhat similar to Google Translate, so some of the words may not translate completely correctly. So here's the title, Combining Verbal Veracity Assessment Techniques to Distinguish Truth Tellers from Lied Tellers. And it was, as I said, it was in the European Journal of Psychology, applied to legal context. The alternate title is also listed here in Spanish. I just want to call your attention to, you can download the PDF here to save on a desktop or a flash drive for later reference. You can cite the article for a references page. Most likely your professor or your instructor will be requiring APA format. And as you select here from the drop-down arrow, you can also select a different version of APA, as well as a citation format called Chicago. There's also several others here listed as well. MLA is also well known, as well as Turabian, but it will default to the APA 6th edition. So we're just going to keep it that way. So you can copy this, and then you can either upload it to a citation manager if your school has access to any of these, or you can just copy and paste it into your references page directly. You can also email the article to yourself, print it, and other options include saving it to the cloud. So for this one, you can save it to Google Drive, Google Classroom, or Microsoft OneDrive. And there are some other options as well. Here, you have PDF. You can download it as PDF, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, or text only. So those are some other options that you do have here for this article. I'm going to go back to the results. And here's an article that I thought looks interesting. Facial Psychophysiology in Forensic Investigation, a novel idea for deception detection. So I'm going to click on that. And before, we had the article that was in Spanish that I translated back to English. For this one, we're going to translate it from English back to Spanish. Especially if English isn't your first language, it might just be easier to translate these articles back into Spanish for our purposes. So that's what I'm going to suggest that you do. Unless you want to practice your English, of course, that is totally up to you. So if we scroll down, there's the full text of the article and an introduction. Again, we have to translate that from English into Spanish. And this is just letting us know that the full text may take a little bit longer. Okay, and if we scroll down, there are other subjects areas that you can select here with different indexing terms. So basically, indexing is a way to organize subject information. So if I were to select lie detectors and lying and click on search, that will bring up only one result. And that was actually the result we just looked at. So let's click back on that. Actually, let's scroll down the page. And these are other searches that they're suggesting. Polygraphs, lying and polygraphs, polygraphs and evidence, polygraphs and criminal investigations, polygraphs and pre-employment screening, polygraphs and questioning, polygraphs and accuracy, and polygraphs and deception. So I'm going to try clicking on polygraphs and criminal investigations. And I'm coming up with 121 results. And take a look over here. They're being sorted by relevance. So one of the things you may also want to do, let me scroll to the top of the page. And as you can see here, it says su.exact. So basically it's doing an exact subject search on polygraphs and criminal investigations. So let's scroll down just a little bit on the page. On the left, we do want to select full text. So this is essentially completed a new search for us. So different from the search that we had previously completed. So I am going to see if I can select peer reviewed, if I get any results from that. I have 16 results, so I've actually narrowed it down pretty well. Over on the left-hand side, the publication date can also be changed. We'll say 2010 through 2021. We're going to update that. And now I'm coming out with 6 results. So always keep in mind when you're completing your searches that you want to try to narrow it down as much as possible with each search, because you don't want to have to sift through even 500 search results, because that's just too much to look at. So let's look at this one. It's the second one listed. And as you can see, here's the article. And the title is Interrogative Specialist and False Confessions, Debunking the Con Artist Myth. So let's go ahead and download that. And we will save it as article number 5. And here's the article that was downloaded. And here you can see the title of the publication, where it is from, Journal of Police and Criminal Psychology. It's from 2018. There's the title. There are the authors listed. We have an abstract of the article. So if you want to kind of go through that, here are some key words that they have listed in the article. I'm going to go ahead and highlight those. So those are some keywords from the article. So the keywords were false confessions, interrogation, interrogative techniques, confession, and polygraph. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, and you can look at the introduction here. And then they will be citing different articles in the references page. So if you wanted to skip directly to that, you could click on the highlighted year, and it will take you to that section in the references page. So for instance, that was from the Innocence Project. So I am not sure which one it took us to. I would have to scroll to the top to double check. But that was from the Innocence Project, which is a project here in the US, which is working to overturn wrongful convictions of people who are incarcerated. Oh, here it is. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. This is from the Innocence Project. If you are interested in the Innocence Project, you can go to the website innocenceproject.org. And I know I've kind of highlighted over this. I'm going to go ahead and erase that. But it's right here. And if you are interested in looking at something in the citation, in the references page, that could be also good for your research purposes, for your paper, your project, or if you're working on a thesis for that as well. So I'm going to go back to the very top of the page. I'm going to go ahead and go back. And let's go back to our search. And one other thing you can do is there are related items over on the right-hand side. So here's an article on false confessions from the Journal of Psychiatry and Law in London. If I keep scrolling, I can also search with these specific indexing terms. So if I was looking for criminal investigations and confessions, I'm going to click on search. And I'm coming up with 95 results. So as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. What this has done is it has completed a new search for me under exact search, subject search on criminal investigations and confessions. So those are exact searches. And because they're exact, the search terms are in quotation marks. So I am going to go ahead and we're going to erase this. And I'm going to go back to the criminal justice database. As you can see, we had 95 results, which isn't too bad. It could be a little bit better. If I select full text, it's going to limit it to even fewer results. If I select peer reviewed, it will then limit that even further to 40 results, which is definitely not as difficult to wade through as potentially 100 results or more. So I'm going to go back to the criminal justice database. And here is the exact search. And this website, this database did the search strategy for us in that it typed in subject.exact and then it put it in quotation marks and parentheses. And we did a Boolean search. We searched and. So we searched criminal investigations and confessions. So you can also change databases up here. I'm going to go back to an advanced search. And this was the search we initially did, which was lie detection and crime. So what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and take this out. And over here, we can select all subjects. Under all subjects and indexing, we can select subject heading. And by doing that, we can look up the subjects and it will format it correctly for us. So that's what I recommend that you do if you're wanting to do an exact search. So I'm going to type in polygraph. And polygraphs is coming up, and there are 1,481 articles on polygraphs. So I'm going to click on add to search. And for this one, I'm going to do a lookup for lie detection. And there are 27 results for lie detection. So I'm going to select add to search. So it's going to do an exact search on polygraphs and polygraphs or lie detection. So if that sounds a little confusing, don't worry about it. We have added these searches to our Boolean search, which was the search with the operators and or not. You can additionally add another row if you want to limit your search even further. For our purposes, I'm going to click on search. And we did a good job with limiting our search because we came up with 5 results. So basically, it formatted this for us, main subject, exact. So we did a search on polygraphs in quotation marks and an exact search on polygraphs or lie detection. So we combined the search polygraphs with a search of either polygraphs or lie detection. So the most relevant search results are at the top. I'm going to unselect peer reviewed. And then that gives us more results. It gives us 13. Again, the most relevant ones are at the top. If we go into the top result, this is a scholarly journal. And this is from the Northwestern Journal of Law and Social Policy in Chicago. And there is an abstract. And if we scroll down, there is the full text of the article. And again, as mentioned, you can click on articles that would be similar over on the right-hand side, or you can scroll down and narrow the search down even further by doing an exact search on any of these subjects. They have even brought up location. It looks like it takes place in Broward County, Florida. So I'm going to scroll up to the top. I'm going to go back to results. So that is a very brief overview of LIRN. And in future sessions, I'm going to be showing how to pull up articles through ebooks. And one of the articles that I pulled up previously was really interesting. It was all on polygraphs. So that was from an ebook, from an encyclopedia. So I'm going to be showing that moving forward, as well as some of the other databases that you have access to. If I click back on this tab, we'll also take a look at ProQuest dissertations and theses global. We can also take a look at psychology database, as well as some of these others. If I scroll, you can also scroll and select a search within the psychology databases. So if I were to search, for example, behavioral economics, then I've come up with 120, I've come up with keeps going up. I've come up with 800,000 results. So here are the results here, and it's narrowed it down based on database. So if I select criminal justice database, there are 7,330 articles on that topic. So if we have, if we can scroll down the page, you can select behavioral economics matters for HIV research, or anything like that. But this is not the way I recommend you go about your search. This is way too broad. So let's go back to the home page. Okay. So as mentioned earlier, I believe you can also go into the general and its interdisciplinary databases. And as you can see here, there are a number of them. ERIC has more to do with education. There's also one specifically on Latin America and Iberia. So that would be Spain, Portugal, Latin America. And again, there's the dissertations and theses database available as well. So these are all different options that you can utilize when you are doing your search. And again, I don't recommend going to the psychology databases and doing a really broad search in this box. The only thing this will be useful for is that it will pull up behavioral economics, and it will show the listing in each of the databases for the results page. But what I recommend doing, starting with criminal justice database, and then in future webinars, we'll also be looking at the 2 ebook databases that you have access to. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on the portal. My email address is lisa.acuna@behaviorandlaw.com. If you have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Bye-bye.